Hello, I am going to demonstrate some of the features of EV360 that I really enjoy. So let me share my screen with you and walk through them. Namely, I just want to talk about my speed building, my readback, my evaluations. We'll do my test in another demonstration for those who are on Eclipse. So I'm just going to go to my EV360 here, and hopefully you can see it up here. So when you first go into EV360, of course, it brings you to your log of when you've practiced, but I want to go to my speed building up here. And I've already actually opened up a couple. So the way I use my speed building mostly is for actually practicing to push my speeds a lot of times before I'm testing, or if I want to increase my hand speed, I will open several different tabs, and I'll just, like when I first start out. So here I've opened a couple of QA's practices. Let me just open one more for you. Now you can actually choose ones from your actual computer. So let's say if you like to record your own, if there's some certain things you want to practice, or maybe somebody else sent you dictation, you would just choose open local under the audio. And then, but I just mostly just use the ones that are available here on EV360. I actually keep track of the files that I've worked on. So I'm just going to choose another QA, and I'm just going to do this randomly. I'm going to choose 200 words a minute. And so you can add as many as you want. It takes a few minutes. So a lot of times I'll add like 3 to 6, depending on how much time I have. Sometimes I'll just do 3 and I'll practice them at the higher speeds, and then I'll drop them down to a lower speed, or I'll just do 6 different takes all at once. So I'm just going to choose one randomly. And then for this one, I only use the original speed, or I'll add or subtract original speed plus or minus. Since I chose 200, I would, and I'm working at 180, I would actually do 20 above. I would practice, and so let me go up here and choose 20 above. Here we are. And I'll hit continue. So that's actually at 220 words a minute. And I don't want to replace it, the other ones that I have open. I just want to have a new one. So now I have 3. So so this is the original. It's at 200 words per minute. It should have gone above. For some reason, I guess it didn't. But if you want to change, so let's say, oh, here it is. So this original one was at 200 words per minute, and I actually wanted to drop it down to 180 words per minute. And how I did that is I just, after I went through all of them at the first speeds that I want, so like if I'm preparing for a test, I'll practice 40 above on my Q&A, and then I'll go into my change workout plan and I'll drop it 20 below. And you can just go, you can just choose any of the, any of these that you want, 5 above, whatever, and then you just hit continue, and then you can practice it at that speed, maintaining that consistent speed. And I think that's what's really important about this. Of course, you can view the list of words that are in there. If there's any ones that you want to work on briefs, you can also preview the script. I like previewing scripts because it helps me to identify different phrases or briefs that I might be wanting to be working on. So that's in a nutshell how I use my speed building. Now my readback is what I really like to use for my accuracy. So the nice thing about this is, well, one thing is you cannot choose ones on your computer. These all have to be from the ones that are within EV360, which is not a problem for me. Of course, like the other ones, you can view the concordance list and you can preview the script. I like to print it out and just go over it every once. Not usually, I'll usually run through it maybe 3 times before I actually look at the script, maybe 2 times, just depending. And then, of course, I'm just going to change the lesson plan. So you can choose different lesson plans just to whatever you want to do. So this one, I'll just do control and hit continue. I'm just changing the lesson plan. And what it does is it breaks down each dictation into 1-minute increments. So this is the first minute, this is the second minute, third minute, and so forth. And so what I did was I chose my original speed, and then it's going to start at 10 below. It'll play that 1 minute, and then I can practice it at the speed that original speed, and then back down, and then back up that same minute. which is really good because it really helps me to focus on getting those fingers and those word combinations and those phrases and briefs really down well. I can get a good practice in with those. And basically that's what MyReadback is. And when I'm done with that minute, or maybe the next week or next day, I want to work on section 2. So it lets me work through that whole dictation minute by minute. And then if you wanted to, you could take that same one, whichever document that I chose, and I can work on it in MySpeedbuilding. So it's a great tool, especially for working on accuracy and spots that you might be struggling with. The last one I want to work on is MyEvaluations. Now, MyEvaluations, you have to be really careful with, because if you want to use some of the features, you cannot have a real-time document opened. It will not work. And usually when I'm doing MyEvaluations, I close down my Eclipse software and I do it just from just reading my notes. So let's say I want to attempt a self-evaluation. I'm going to choose one from here. So a lot of times when I'm doing this, I choose one that's slower than my target speed because I'm really trying to evaluate my writing. So just for fun, I'm just going to do a 1 minute 100 just for 1 minute. And I don't like to do the whole 5 minutes because it does take a very long time to go through this process. So I'll only do like a 1 or 2 minute. And then I'll just choose one. Okay, and it'll tell you, please make sure your CAT software is not actively connected to your writer, because it's going to create conflicts and it's going to create problems. So when you go through it, sometimes this vertical notes view is not marked, but you'll want it on, because when you start writing on your writer, it'll keep track of the notes that are coming from your writer. So of course you can preview the script. Here it is right here. I'm not going to look at it because I'm going to just attempt this. You can also see the concordance list just like the other 2 modules. So let me just do this really quick and show you how this works. I'm just going to pause it for a second and then I'll come back. Okay, so I'm back and I just transcribed this 1 minute jury charge. And I know I made mistakes because I wanted to show you some things. But here on the vertical note screen, it's taken directly from my writer, this entire minute. And I want to evaluate my notes. So I'm going to hit Read Steno down here. And it's going to open up this screen. And the highlighted screen, it is the one that I'm working on. So I'm going to go through this very quickly and just read my notes. Okay, and so I didn't see any on this one, so I'm going to go to the next one. You have to actually hit it. Now you can listen to it too if you want. You can slow down the recording if you want to read. So I'm just going to go through and to apply the rules of law. I know I made mistakes because I'm just looking. I didn't see any there. I might as well just mark some of these. Oh, there's the, I knew I did that one. So like I said, you just go through and you can mark. This is actually a little too slow for me. That one I got wrong. Okay, so anyways, so I marked a couple here that were wrong. So now I'm going to close this up and I'm going to go to correct steno. And it'll actually show the highlighted ones. So this should have been opinion, which I write P final N. So I can write that, or I can just say, or you can put anything there that you want. And this should have been violation. I hit the T instead of the L. So that's how I would just go through that and I can correct my steno. And you can save it as a PDF if you want, but I'm not going to do that here. So the next thing you can do is you can actually read your steno notes and write it right here in this square. So for example, so I could go through this entire thing, So let me pause that. I'm just going to transcribe my notes really fast so I can show you the next step. Okay, so I'm just type this up, and I actually put in an error on purpose, just for the demonstration purposes. So I just read my notes from this column, and I just typed them up. And I think this is probably one of the reasons I like to just keep it short, 1 to 2 minutes, because this can be a very long process, but it can also be revealing and helpful in evaluating your writing. So I just did this. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to hit grade self-evaluation. And it's going to come up with the mistake that I did. It should. So okay. See, I put sworn duty in there when it should have been oath. And I actually wrote oath, but I just wanted to show you. So it just corrected my writing. And so now I can evaluate it. So now what I can do is I can do a self-evaluation. So this SE over here, and you'll also get it of the past ones that I've done. It'll actually show at the very end. I'll show you in a minute, but I'm gonna hit self-evaluation. And what it does is it actually takes your graded output and it'll show you the corrected down here. And you can go through and you can print this out and you can evaluate what I did. So I actually, I don't remember what, I mean, you could just basically evaluate what you did in your writing. And that's what that self-evaluation is. And the other cool thing is if you do focus practice, those areas that are really difficult or the ones that you got wrong, you can actually, it'll show you the master text, what you wrote, what was wrong. So you can actually practice that sticky area if you want to, and you can print that out. So that's what those are. And I think this is just really helpful just to kind of get an idea of what, how you're writing, helps you to read your notes and to correct them and get a good idea of what you're doing wrong. So I really need to use this more often. I think it's a really good feature, but sometimes it does take a little bit of time. So if I go back to submitted evaluations, these are all the ones that I've done, and you can kind of see right here the self-evaluation worksheet and the focus practice just shows you what I did here. So in a nutshell, that is MyEvaluations, MyReadback, and MySpeedbuilding. Those are the ones that are, I think, the most helpful in your practice.